we've got Noah as the captain and Tyler as the captain here.
Yes.
Okay. Coaches, are we ready to begin? Okay. Good luck to both teams as we begin the second game, the varsity game, with toss-up number 1. A class action suit over this herbicide was settled out of court for $180 million for 250,000 veterans and their families. Grayson, Alex.
Asbestos.
Incorrect. I'll finish. The herbicide, which contains dioxin, was linked to cancer, birth defects, and skin diseases. What herbicide, used as a defoliant in Vietnam, Franklin-Simpson, Jack?
Agent Orange.
That's correct. Your bonus number 2. A fair die is tossed one time, and the outcome is a prime number. As a fraction, find the probability that the outcome is odd.
Two-thirds.
That's correct. Toss-up number 3. After mapping the location and number of cases of illness, this man found that those who drank waters... Franklin-Simpson, Kenny?
Snow.
That's correct. Your bonus number 4. Because he was born at the end of World War II, this writer has set the majority of his works in that time period. He created autofiction, a mixture of historical fiction and autobiography, in works like Honeymoon and Dora Bruder, also known as The Search Warrant, which Nobel laureate wrote the Occupation trilogy, The Place of the Star, The Night Watch, and Ring Roads.
No answer.
Captain?
I didn't have.
Ricky.
Incorrect. Patrick? Modiano. Toss-up number 5. English title, please. In this opera, Basilio sings an aria comparing slander to a breeze. The title character helps the disguised Count Almaviva win the hand of Rosina. In what Gioacchino Rossini opera is the title character named Figaro? Grayson Phoenix?
Marriage of Figaro.
Incorrect. Time. It is the Barber of Seville. Toss-up 6. All members of this class of particles are force carriers. They include composite particles and do not follow Pauli's exclusion principle. What particles have integer spins and include the neutron and the proton? Grayson, Noah?
Subatomic.
Incorrect. Franklin-Simpson, Jacob?
Boson.
That's correct. Your bonus, number 7. An ellipse has equations x squared divided by 7 plus y squared divided by 3 equals 1. What is the distance between the foci of the ellipse?
No answer.
Captain?
Isaac Phoenix.
40.
That's correct. Toss-up number 8. Each of these 4 books contains an Arunyaka, which initiated scholars originally studied in a forest. The Rig. Grayson, Alex.
Vedas.
That's correct. Your bonus, number 9. Explorer Bartholomew Gosnold visited this island in 1602 when it was inhabited by the Wampanoag tribe. Massachusetts took control of it in 1692, giving it a Native American name that might mean sandy, sterile soil tempting no one. Name this island, known for its whaling, that lies about 30 miles south of Cape Cod.
Nantucket.
That's correct. Toss-up number 10. First and last name required. He gave up his spiritual and missionary position in Georgia because of controversy over his relationship with Sophia Hopke. An experience during a Moravian service in 1738 inspired him to start a sect whose name derived from a systemic study of religion, who, with his brother Charles, founded the Methodist movement in England. Franklin-Simpson, Jack?
John Wesley.
That's correct. Your bonus. As a fraction, evaluate the expression natural log of cube root of e raised to the 5th power.
5/3.
That's correct. Toss of 12. Due to the extra copies of the genes encoding amyloid precursor protein, individuals with this condition almost always develop Alzheimer's disease. An initial positive screening test for this condition usually results in a woman receiving an amniocentesis to confirm the presence of extra chromosomes in the fetus's DNA. Grayson, Noah?
Down syndrome.
Incorrect. I'll finish. Give the name for this disease caused by having one additional copy of a chromosome that is commonly known as Down syndrome. Franklin-Simpson, Jacob.
Autism.
Incorrect. Trisomy 21. Toss-up 13. Essentially, this literary device's opposite is litites. Often used for comic effect, it shouldn't... Grayson, Noah.
Understatement.
Incorrect. I'll finish. Often used for comic effect, it shouldn't be understood literally. When someone says, I waited 1,000 years for the sunrise, they use what kind of intentional exaggeration? Franklin-Simpson, Jacob.
Hyperbole.
That's correct. Your bonus, 14. In Elizabethan staging, this term was a synonym for yard, the area directly by the stage where groundlings stood to watch a performance. Today, it usually separates a proscenium stage from the audience. Give the word that today identifies the space, usually below the main stage, where the musicians play.
No answer.
Captain?
Hit.
Hit is correct. Toss-up 15. In The Social Contract, Rousseau theorized about a non-representative type of this government, which others considered the direct or ideal form. Franklin-Simpson... Oh, I couldn't see. Your hand's covering the light. Jacob.
Democracy.
That's correct. Your bonus 16. Calculate the product of 3 raised to the negative 3 power and 9 raised to the 5 halves power.
No answer.
Captain?
I just say Phoenix.
Incorrect. 9. Toss-up 17. Franz Schubert set this poet's The Earl King, Grayson Allen.
Johann Wolfgang von Goethe.
That's correct. Your bonus number 18. In one play set in this city, Becker manages a group of unlicensed taxi drivers. This setting of Jitney is the setting for another play in which Boy Willie and Bernice clash over a musical instrument, as well as one in which Corey is forbidden to play football by his father, garbage man Troy Maxim. Give this setting of The Piano Lesson, Fences, and other plays in an August Wilson cycle.
Pittsburgh.
That's correct. Toss-up 19. Later in ancient Egyptian lore, this god was merged with another one named Horus. He is credited with creating all forms of life by speaking their secret names. Grayson Hunter?
Ra.
That's correct. Your bonus 20. The law named after this phenomenon indicates that the voltage around a closed loop is proportional to the rate of change of the enclosed magnetic flux. That law contains a negative sign and is known as Lenz's law. It implies that this effect always opposes the instigating effect. Name this phenomenon visible in certain coiled circuit components in which a change in magnetic field creates a corresponding electric field.
Ferromagnetism.
Incorrect. Captain?
Drag.
Incorrect. Electromagnetic induction. Toss-up 21. Consider the system of equations x plus 2y equals 5 and 3x minus 2y equals 7. Expressing your answer as an ordered pair, find the solution of the system. Franklin-Simpson, Jacob?
X equals 3, Y equals 1.
Incorrect.
Correct.
Grayson Phoenix?
It's correct.
It's correct.
His answer was correct.
Okay.
Three
So
Y
Franklin-Simpson
one,
is
yes.
correct. Your bonus 22. Identify the following sentences structure. Hurry up or we'll get to the mall after it closes.
Complex.
Incorrect. Captain?
Simple.
Incorrect. You. Toss-up 23. Name and number required. He became a member of the Order of the Golden Fleece, an order of knighthood in 1981. On his 18th birthday in 1986, he swore allegiance to his father and was named heir to the throne. Who became king in 2014 with the abdication of his father, Juan Carlos of Spain? Philippe VI. Toss-up 24. One depiction of this outdoor location shows its owner in a blue shirt, looking at red flowers behind a fence on the left. Paintings showing rose arches and a Japanese bridge portray this location, which served as the inspiration for numerous portraits of water lilies. Name this outdoor location owned and cultivated by the painter of Impression Sunrise. That is Monet's garden at Giverny. Or just garden or Giverny. Toss-up 25. These materials are transported through fluvial and aeolian processes. Alluvial fans are composed of deposits of these materials. What particulate material is formed by the erosion of rock? Grayson, Alex?
Sand.
Incorrect. Franklin-Simpson, Jacob?
Slate.
Incorrect. Sediment. Toss-up 26. Convert the binary numeral 10110 to a base 10 numeral. Grayson, Phoenix?
22.
I'm sorry?
22.
That's correct. Your bonus, 27. Important symbols in this novel include a conch shell, a signal fire, and a sow's head on a stake. The Litlands, Ralph, Jack, Piggy, and the others established an adult-free society on a deserted island after their plane crashes. Give the name of this William Golding novel.
Lord of the Flies.
That's correct. Toss-up 28. One example of this architectural feature is the small bullseye window. The more common type appears in the University of Virginia's Thomas Jefferson Rotunda, Florence Cathedral, and Byzantine architecture. Name a circular opening in the center of a dome or wall. That is called an oculus. Toss-up 29. The best guess of when this South American ruler was born is 1502, and he was executed at the age of 30 or 31. He became the king of Quito in 1525 upon his father's death, and reigned peacefully for 2 years before a civil war raged for 5 years, followed by the arrival of the Spaniards. Who was the king of the Incas? Grayson Hunter?
Atahualpa.
That is correct. Your bonus, number 30. This material has been replaced in its most common application by fiberglass, also known as glass wool. It includes serpentine and chrysotil, and is made up of 6 natural silicates with long, thin fibers. What common, fire-resistant insulation has been restricted due to concerns over carcinogenic dust?
Asbestos.
That's correct. Toss-up 31. Evaluate the expression sine of negative 5 pi divided by 6. Time, negative 1/2. Toss-up 32. In this author's story, Araby, the unnamed narrator, Grayson, Alex?
James Joyce.
That's correct. Your bonus, 33. One movement of a work by this composer concludes with a C major fugue on the text, Lord, Thou art worthy. That movement is the 6th of 7 in a choral orchestral work that mourns both the composer's friend, Robert Schumann, and the composer's mother. Name this composer of a German requiem who also wrote a lullaby.
Brahms.
That's correct. Toss-up 34. The persons holding this position were cabinet members from 1829 to 1971. but the position itself dates to 1775. Megan J. Brennan became the 74th person to hold the title when she was appointed in February 2015. What title is given to the person who heads the U.S. Postal Service? Grayson Noah.
Postmaster General.
That's correct. And bonus number 35. This measurement is a calculation of the rate of work. Less commonly measured in kilogram meters squared per second cubed, its standard SI derived unit is the watt. What is this quantity equivalent to work over time, sometimes expressed as the work done by a horse during a certain period of time?
Hour.
That's correct. And that is the half. What did you have the score as?
Oh, she's keeping score.
What else? Yeah, we can.
I got Grayson 15, Franklin-Simpson 9.
Oh,
Erna, what do you have as the score?
15, Grayson 9, Franklin-Simpson.
15 to 9.
is that what you all
Is that what you guys have? 15?
Yeah, I know.
Actually, we should have given that. That was the last one we got right. I voted as a choice. That's the last one we got right, so we might as well save it.
Turn to the team.
We kind of got 8 straight right. Score streaks. Score. There are streaky teams. We need this to be our streak, and then we need them to get a streak, and then we need to get a streak.
That's why I said
So
no.
whoever ends up with a streak.
X is that and Y is that.
Now we're gonna wait until time.
All right, are we ready to continue, guys? Okay. So the way these are numbered, the second half starts with question 41 on the question sheet. So just be aware of that as I'm reading. All right?
Do we need to flip these
You
over?
ready to continue?
Do we need to flip these over?
Yes. All right? Coaches, ready? All right, good luck to both teams as we begin the second half with toss-up 41. Heights are distributed normally with a mean of 65 inches and a standard deviation of 3 inches. If a person's height is 74 inches, calculate, Franklin-Simpson, Tyler?
3.
Correct. Your bonus, 42. In this work, one protagonist's empathy for others' suffering balances the other's instinct for self-preservation. An unnamed father and son journey through a post-apocalyptic wasteland, passing cannibals and ruined cities on their way to the southern coast. Give the title of this Pulitzer winner by Cormac McCarthy.
The Road.
That's correct. Toss-up 43. This art form's development ushered in the transition from analytical to synthetic cubism. Rauschenberg, Matisse, and Ernst all adapted the technique by incorporating engravings and silkscreen prints. What is this technique, whose name is French for pasting, which places photos, newspaper clippings, and other unrelated... Grayson, Noah?
Collage.
That's correct. Your bonus, 44. This dynasty was founded in 1526 by a leader descended from both Tamerlane and Genghis Khan. The dynasty was ousted by Afghan rebels during the reign of Humayun. What dynasty in India reached its greatest height under Humayun's son Akbar in the 1550s?
Mughal.
That's correct. Toss-up 45. This process is controlled by nerves in the medulla oblongata and a structure within the pons known as the pneumotachys center. Contraction, Franklin-Simpson, Jack?
Particular formation?
Incorrect. I'll finish. Contraction and relaxation of the diaphragm aids in the gas exchange that is characteristic of this process. Grayson, Noah.
Breathing.
That's correct. Your bonus. Let g of x equal quantity x minus 5, close quantity, divided by quantity 3x plus 7, close quantity. What are the coordinates of the x-intercept of the graph of g?
Edison and Phoenix.
5-0.
That's correct. Toss-up 47. One work in this genre is the earliest source of the Germanic legends covered in the Nibelungenlied. Another illustrates complex meters and kennings used in Old Norse poetry and tells of Asgard and Ragnarok. Give the term for this type of literary work, whose prose version, Grayson, Alex?
Edda.
That's correct. Your bonus, 48. This character claims, "My soul hath elbow room," as he approaches death, brought on by a monk's poison. He is excommunicated by Cardinal Pendulph and knights Philip Falconbridge as Sir Richard Plantagenet. Name this King of England portrayed in a Shakespeare history play.
Henry V.
I'm sorry?
Henry V.
Incorrect, Captain?
Richard III.
Incorrect. King John. Toss-up 49. This foreign policy position was first elaborated in its namesake's 7th State of the Union address in 1823. It was actually written by John Quincy Adams, who was Secretary of State at the time. What doctrine, Grayson, Alex?
Monroe Doctrine.
That's correct. Your bonus, 50. This process is made possible in sponges through the use of flagellated choanocytes, or collar cells. Because they feed by this method, some sessile organisms are used as bioindicators, as the environmental water quality can be easily assessed. Shellfish feed by which method in which water enters and nutrients are taken from the water?
Filter feeding.
That's correct. Toss-up 51. Multiple answers are required. Consider the polynomial function g of x equals x cubed plus 3x squared minus 4x plus 12. I'm sorry, minus 4x minus 12. What are the zeros of g? Time. X equals -3, -2, and 2. Toss-up 52. Supporting characters in this drama include Dr. Rank, who is dying from tuberculosis of the spine, and recently widowed Christine Lind. Krogstad briefly attempts to blackmail Nora and Torvald into giving him a job, and the play ends. Grayson, Alex?
Doll's House.
That's correct. Bonus 53. This choreographer, whose first major work was African Ceremonial, created the wedding for Alvin Ailey's dance company. She based The Negro Speaks of Rivers on a Langston Hughes poem and explored American racial tension in Strange Fruit and Michael Row Your Boat Ashore. Named this Trinidadian-born dancer and choreographer whose research in Africa and the Caribbean influenced her work. Captain?
Tituba.
Incorrect. It is Pearl Primus. Toss-up 54. This group was a political party in Central America formed in 1961. Named for the peasant leader of a resistance movement in the late 1920s, they overthrew a 46-year dictatorship by the Somoza family in Nicaragua in 1979. What collective term was given to these fighters whose opponents, the Contras, were backed by the Ronald Reagan administration? The Sandinistas. All right, toss-up 55. This property is possessed by a carbon with 4 different groups, but not by mesocompounds that have a plane of symmetry. Louis Pasteur demonstrated it by revealing the optical activity of tartaric acid to polarizable light. What chemical property possessed by enantiomers that cannot be superimposed on each other comes from the Greek for handedness? It is chirality. Toss-up 56. Point R is translated 4 units to the left and 2 units up to give the image point R prime, which has coordinates 3, -8. What are the coordinates of point R? Franklin-Simpson, Tyler.
7, -10.
That's correct. Your bonus 57. This poet laureate of deep ecology described his Asian pilgrimage in Passage Through India and used his logging experiences to write Rip Rap. His Pulitzer-winning poetic volume takes its title from a Native American name for North America. Who is this beat poet of Turtle Island?
Frost.
Incorrect. Captain?
Isaiah Alex.
Forrester.
Incorrect. Gary Snyder. Toss-up 58. This film's protagonist sets another character afloat after stating, "Revenge is in God's hands, not mine." In this most recent Alejandro Iñárritu film, John Fitzgerald's murder of Hawk motivates the protagonist to stay alive, despite sustaining severe... Grayson, Noah?
The Revenant.
That's correct. Your bonus 59. This ocean covers about 1/5 of the Earth's ocean surface and has its deepest point at the Sunda Deep. Australian geographers marked Cape Leeuwin at the southwest corner of Australia as the point where it ends and the Southern Ocean begins. Name the ocean that has coastline in South Africa, Madagascar, India, and Australia.
Indian Ocean.
I'm sorry?
Indian Ocean.
That's correct. Toss-up 60. This signal was first believed to be pigeon droppings on the inside of the antenna dish that was being used by Arno Penzias and Robert Wilson. The pair later, Franklin Kenny.
Background radiation.
Incorrect. The pair later discovered that the signal was not just noise and was detectable anywhere they turned their instrument in the sky. Name this signal that was created just after the Big Bang and is the earliest that radiation can be detected. Grayson, Noah.
Cosmic background radiation.
That's correct. Bonus 61. The lengths of the bases of a trapezoid are represented by the expressions quantity x minus 3, close quantity, and quantity 2x minus 4, close quantity, where all the measurements are in units. If the length of the median of the trapezoid is 10 units, find the value of x.
It doesn't make Phoenix.
3.5.
Incorrect. Captain?
No answer.
9. Toss-up 62. This author, who retired to a convent following the Battle of Agincourt, wrote a biography of Charles V at Philip the Bold of Burgundy's request. Her letter to the God of Loves was a response to Roman de la Rose, while her most famous volumes praised heroic, virtuous women. Identify the Renaissance author of The Book of Three Virtues and The Book of the City of Ladies. Grayson Phoenix?
Christine Davidson.
That's correct. Your bonus, number 63. This god and the nymph Kamashini were the parents of Tiberinus, from whom the Tiber River gets its name. Traditionally, the doors of his shrine were open during war and closed during peace. Name the Roman god of doorways who had two faces.
Janus.
That's correct. Toss-up 64. This political group originated in New York as the American Republican Party and was active in mid-19th century American politics. Buoyed by success in the Chicago mayor's election, this group was involved in election day violence in Louisville in 1855 and vote rigging in Baltimore from 1856 to 58. Name this anti-Catholic, nativist American political movement whose name comes from the response Grayson, Noah?
Know Nothing Party.
That's correct. Your bonus, 65. Two-word answer, please. The most popular species of this seed comes from Yemen and Ethiopia and belongs to the species Arabica. They come from so-called cherries, each of which contains two seeds. What two-word phrase identifies the seeds that are typically ground and added to water to produce a caffeinated beverage?
Coffee beans.
That's correct. Toss-up 66. The magnitudes of two vectors are 4 and 7, and the measure of the angle between the vectors is 120 degrees. What is the dot product of the two vectors? Grayson, Alex.
14.
I'm sorry?
14.
Incorrect. Time? Negative 14. Toss-up 67. This collective work argues that a strong central government will promote individual liberty as well as provide for a common defense. Franklin-Simpson, Jacob.
Federalist Papers.
That's correct. Your bonus, 68. This key is that of Beethoven's last piano sonata and is the titular key of Johannes Brahms' First Symphony. Creating a dominant chord in this key, which is the relative key of E flat major, requires an accidental to create a raised leading tone of B natural. What key with a signature of 3 flats is the parallel minor of a key with no sharps or flats?
A.
Incorrect, Captain?
I just need Alex.
A minor.
C minor. Toss-up 69. This Supreme Court case upheld a young man's conviction for disobeying Executive Order 9066. However, Justice Robert Jackson's dissent noted that the appellant was a U.S. citizen and no one had presented evidence that he was disloyal. Identify the 1944 case that said the confinement of Japanese Americans during World War II was legal. Time? Korematsu versus the United States. Toss-up 70. When the square root of this vector for a moving object is multiplied by 1/2 the mass, the kinetic energy of that... Grayson, Alex.
Velocity.
That's correct. Your bonus, 71.
That's the end of that.
You go to 35, right?
So that'd be 70. Oh, okay, sorry, I just, 35 makes 70. Did it skip, oh, it skipped 5 from the last match, I apologize.
So bonus 71. The radius of circle C is 10 units, and a sector is formed in circle C by the sides of a central angle with a measure of 45 degrees. In square units, calculate the exact area of the sector.
I just need Phoenix.
25 pi.
Incorrect, Captain?
No answer.
25 pi over 2. Okay, toss up 72. This dramatist, whose twin, Anthony, is also a playwright, passed away in June 2016. Besides black comedy, his two best-known works are set at opera premieres, in a psychiatrist's office, and in a stable. Who wrote Amadeus and Equus? Peter Schaeffer. Toss-up 73. This philosophical school, founded by Pyrrho of Elis, was the subject of a work by Sextus Empiricus. French essayist Michel de Montaigne was another advocate of the school, which calls for suspending trust in one's senses. What philosophical school is based on the systemic questioning and doubting of all claims? Grayson, Noah?
Skepticism.
That's correct. Your bonus, 74. This unofficial group of American women rose up in the aftermath of the 19th Amendment, which gave women the right to vote. They bobbed their hair, drank, smoked, and otherwise flouted the standards of conventional behavior. Which group of young single women in the 1920s supposedly got their name from the sound galoshes made in the rain when they were left open as the women walked?
Flappers.
That's correct. And toss-up 75. When these mixtures are well mixed and solidify at a single temperature, a eutectic solid forms. One example of its superform is ingotinel, a mixture of iron and chromium. Give the name for mixtures of solid metals such as bronze. Grayson, Alex.
Alloy.
That's correct. And that is the game. All right, and what do we have as the score? 33 to 13. 33 to 13.
34.
34, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Did you say 34?
Aaron, yeah, it's not, yeah, it is, 34, yeah, I got it, I miscounted.
I messed up on that one.